Hey, this is Steven from Wild Stuff. Welcome to the show. This video is my quick review of the Fenix PD40R v2.0, Fenix's latest 3000 lumen pocket-sized monster with a new style mechanical rotary switch. I'll do a quick rundown of the main features, talk about a few of my likes and dislikes, and then we'll take it outside to shine it around a bit. Now, as usual, I'm not going to dwell too much on the nitty-gritty of the tech specs and various runtimes, as there's plenty of other online resources if you want to read over them. I'll just cover the main standout features, and throughout the video I'll be doing comparisons with one of Fenix's other popular lights, the PD36R. I figure if you're here researching the PD40R, there's probably a good chance you're also considering the PD36R and trying to weigh up which one to buy. At the time of making this video, the PD40R version 2 goes for about 190 Australian dollars, which is roughly 130 US dollars. Needless to say, this is a premium flashlight, not a bargain bin cheapie from the local hardware store. So to sum up the main features, it has 3000 lumens and just over 40,000 candela of center brightness. It's powered by a 21700 battery which has 5000 mAh. These are a bit larger than a traditional 18650 battery, but allow higher outputs and longer run times. You charge the battery internally via the integrated USB-C charging port hidden underneath this rubber flap. But instead of a traditional tail cap switch or a button, the PD40R version 2 has a mechanical rotary dial around the head of the unit, with 6 incremental positions you scroll through with a subtle click, starting it off, then low, medium, high, turbo, then strobe. There's also a little battery status indicator just next to the USB port, which flashes and changes colour as the battery is depleted. And as usual, it's built like a tank, which includes being submersible to 2 meters for half an hour. In the box you get a PD40R version 2 with a pocket clip attached, a 21700 5000 mAh battery, a little wrist lanyard, a belt pouch, a small USB-C charging cable. You need to supply your own USB wall charger, power bank or a USB port on your computer, a spare O-ring, and the paperwork. There's a mini instruction manual, warranty info, etc. And to give you an idea of the beam pattern, here it is on a blank white wall from about 2.5 meters or 8 feet away, on low, medium, high, and turbo. So, the things I like about it. Obviously the most impressive feature is that it's insanely bright, especially given its compact size. At 3000 lumens and 405 meters of throw, this is the brightest torch I've ever owned. It probably wouldn't be my first choice as an everyday carry light, given that there are more compact lights available, but it can still fit reasonably comfortably in a front jeans pocket. And of course there are bigger and brighter lights available, but at least within the Fenix range, anything brighter than the PD40R isn't going to be as pocketable as this anymore. Secondly, the rotary switch. I must admit, at first I was a little skeptical of the idea, but now that I've been using it for a while, I actually do like it. At this stage I wouldn't say I prefer it over a conventional tail switch, but I appreciate that it provides true one-handed access, quickly and easily to all the different modes, without having to take my eyes off what I'm pointing it at, or fumble for a secondary mode button with my other hand. It also allows you to easily drop down a single mode without having to cycle through all the other modes. And thirdly, despite being almost double the output of the 1600 lumen PD36R, it seems to manage the heat very well. In a very non-scientific experiment, I turned both lights onto turbo and firmly gripped the business end of the flashlight barrels with each hand to see how long I could hold them before they became too hot. Surprisingly, both of them became too uncomfortable to hold at the same time, around a minute and a half. If you try to replicate this experiment, keep your fingers well clear of the actual light beam. It'll burn you within just a few seconds. And finally, having the rotary switch at the front means that the back end of the light looks pretty bare, which allows for tail standing, a feature I do miss on my PD36R. So next up, the things I'm not such a fan of. Now I should qualify this section by saying these points are not actually faults or shortcomings of the PD40R, but rather just issues of personal preference and choice. things that might make me favour one light over another when I'm choosing one to take with me on an adventure. Firstly, I prefer to hold a flashlight like this. That's my PD36R in the picture. I guess you could call it a hammer grip, with the bright end near my pinky instead of my thumb. The PD40R version 2 doesn't suit this style of grip at all. Secondly, the rotary switch means there's no momentary on feature, although you can turn it on and off again quite quickly. Thirdly, I miss the two-way pocket clip like on the PD36R. I like to hook it onto the outside of my front pocket when I'm fumbling for keys in the dark with an armload of groceries. It's a quick and easy way to get some hands-free lighting for just a moment. Fenix opted for just the regular pocket clip on the PD40R version 2. And lastly, rubber flaps over USB charging ports. I'm really not a fan. While they appear very secure and durable while the light is still new, my experience is that they don't last. After living in my pocket every day for a year and a half, the rubber cover on my PD36R's charging port is deformed and lost its shape and no longer sits snugly in position. I'm constantly having to push it back in, and I think I'm going to have to secure it with a little piece of duct tape so that it doesn't get damaged. The same will likely happen to the PD40R over time. Personally, I'd prefer to have no external charging port at all, eliminating rubber flaps and any possibility of dust, dirt or water ingress, and instead use the batteries with built-in charging ports, which protect the charging port inside the torch. So let's take it outside and shine it around. I've got the PD40R in my right hand, the PD36R in my left, and a row of trees 50 metres or 164 feet in front of me. I won't bore you with comparisons of the lower powered modes because I know you're all here just to see them in turbo. Now from where I'm standing I can tell that the PD40R is the brighter of the two lights, however it's not as apparent in the footage, and that's because the difference in real world usage is very marginal. I was expecting a much more obvious difference between the two lights, given the PD40R has almost double the lumen output and a much larger reflector cone. So the PD36R is still holding its own very well. So overall, the PD40R version 2 is a fantastic light that deserves a spot in every flashlight collection. It's insanely bright and the rotary switch has its own set of advantages. I'll be interested to see if Fenix can adapt the rotary switch onto future models with different sizes and form factors. However, if I had to choose just one light from the current Fenix lineup to recommend to a first time buyer, I'd still have to pick the PD36R on account of its more pocket-friendly size, virtually the same real-world performance, a tail switch and a slightly lower price. Be sure to check out my review of the PD36R, I'll put the link in the description. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more equipment discussions and reviews.